Boats on boats, causing weights. Notice this, draw your head, make your neck break. Snapping bones on bones, it's not a neck break. So take this rhyme quote and see if it'll float. Drop a rock on top of that or tie it to a rope. It can't be stopped, yo. I'm swimming through your thought now. You're caught on my page, it hits like tidal waves. Yo, take this rhyme and put it in your mind. In a place too deep for any light to shine. In a place where it seems to stop all the time. The flow travels through your vessel in a rhyme. Hold your breath. You're swimming in underwater caves. My page too thick, too potent, can't be fade. No, I won't slow down. Flow until goals drown. Real heads give me a pound as I size up my crown. Conquest another city, province or town. Life's aquatic, especially when my crew starts to rock it. Precise, sentimental, reminisce up in your mental. Call for Mark Low in the dark or grab a fat beat from Hot Park. Astro, K-Flow, got you stronger than Mo. The bass sinks in, so don't be hesitant. Metaphors like Malcolm and Justice eloquent. The dope is chop this and sell it for some profit. So put it in your systems, victims, short circuits. Sweatshop managers say, okay, you work this, take a break. I won't cause I ache to see a weak MC claiming to be originality and take it even a fraction of the pie. I'll make them walk the plank and sink in the damn tide. They slipping like a wild water ride. So take this rhyme quote and see if it'll float. Drop a rock on top of that or tie it to a rope. It can't be stopped, yo. I'm swimming through your thought. Now you're caught on my page. It hits like tidal waves. Yo, what's up, y'all? I see Afropunk is here. I see Hanifa was here and had some technical issues originally. I don't know if that popped up again. We had plans of talking about Gitcoin, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting topic. Raising money, I think it's like 6 or 7 times the amount that you can get like just off $1, you could get something like 6 or 7 or 8 times that. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting some information about how that works. I started through the process because you got to do a few things. As Hanifa said on point last week on Wednesday, there are a few small steps that you have to take. So I'm looking forward to that information that I'm sure Hanifa will share. Do I see Afropunk has their hand up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, you. I just noticed you said you had somebody up here who's gonna like answer those questions. So I was just here and listen. Also, I'm looking for like other projects that I can like support and like give some money to.
Right.
So if anyone has any projects, just like DM it to me.
Dope. I love that. So you, based on like, your how you're speaking about it, you know a little bit about it. Probably you know more than I do.
Yeah. So I learned about that. It's about almost 2 weeks ago. But I'm still learning. Like I got a notebook over here. I'm taking some notes and everything. Like I went through the application process, got approved, but it's still like some other loopholes I got to jump through for like the to get approved for like a tag so it could be part of a round. So like I said, I'm still learning. So I think you said you had someone else up here. They probably know a little bit more than I do. So
Word.
yeah.
Well, there's Hanifa. There's Hanifa. I see this request. Get Hanifa up. And so you have started through the process. Hanifa is with us.
Finally, I was having some issues. I couldn't hear anybody. You guys couldn't hear me, so I had to literally reboot my entire phone, just start from scratch. When in doubt, reboot.
Right?
You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, come on now.
I mean, it worked, but it's a lot. Every single every space that I open, I get booted out and then I have to come back. So I have to figure out like that roundabout way. Like I'll have the link ready. So when it crashes, as it always does, I can hit the link and be right there. But if you do the wrong thing, it's going to just close the room. So, technology. They say we're early. And this is what we got to deal with when you're early, like, for working out the kinks. Yo, big up. Thank you, Afropunk, for being here. Am I saying this right, Nelia? always, contributing to the community. Thank you for being here. Tech Misfits, if y'all don't know, we'll let you know, but we're not going to go into it right now. But Tech Misfits is big. Ibrahim, shout outs to you doing that work. Sierra Leone, I think, is that where you're doing a lot of dopeness? Shout outs to K Lou. We got Seedverse in the place with Manifest. Yo, enough respects and thank you all for being here. Bijan. Yo, thank you as well, Mystic. Everybody, Jesse, thank you for being here. And I'm excited about this conversation because, like Hanifa, I went through, I started the process. Afropunk is probably some steps ahead, so you could probably help with getting this, like building up, asking the right questions and so forth. I have some questions based on my starting. I got a little bit of ETH. I know Hanifa, Afropunk was like, what projects can I support? I know I got a little bit of ETH ready to support some projects. I don't remember the exact number. It's like 6, 10, 7, 8, 8x. Like if you do it right, that your money can go into like even more money, like exponentially can go towards a project. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about all of that. 40 acres in the building. Shout outs all day, every day. So Hanifa, where should we begin with this? Because we wanted to like get ready. You were saying that like when you come on point, my understanding is you want to be ready so that we can like throw down the money. We want to get set up today. We want to talk about all those details like that will get us ready. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, yeah. Allow me to put my facilitator hat on, because respectfully, I have to leave close to 2 o'clock because I'm actually interviewing 40 Acres and other diversity, equity, and inclusion Gitcoin grants because we are still in hustle mode. You know what I mean? But through the hustle, we are learning some serious lessons and how to even come better and stronger. And to support more projects and getting into this space as far as this means of funding, um, uh, but that's going to take some effort, and I'll explain why. So, if I would love within this time and questions at any point in time, people have them, please throw it at me. But I want to just give an overview of what exactly Gitcoin is, how it works, and how to properly donate. So you not only maximize your dollar or whatever you give, but you actually don't hurt or deplete the matching funds from grants that you actually want to support. And that's literally what is happening to me. So I'm learning this lesson in real time. And then of course I'm gonna plug my shit and hope it inspires you to donate to the Beam Me Down Beast Permit project. So if that makes sense for you, we can jump right in.
That is perfect. Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, so Gitcoin is a funding platform baked and soaked and broiled in Web3, and it approaches fundraising different. So it is not a Kickstarter plan where you have to create tiers and give people things based on how much they give. It is not some sort of VC operation, which most of us don't have access to anyway. And it's not even a damn GoFundMe, right? The basics. What it uses is quadratic funding, which is simply an equation that trust me, I do not understand all the math, but essentially how it works is it changes the dynamic where your grant can be funded based on the amount of support as opposed to the amount that someone can give. Right. So the stronger your community, that's ready to go, onboarded and ready to go, jump and donate, the better. All right. And that's really powerful because we all have community to whatever shape and size, right? And we can build community over time. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to begin to get access to funds to actually do the work of making Web3 in our image, to kind of be biblical about it, right? But I think it's important because we have these conversations in a myriad of spaces, and part of that is complaining on how this Web3 space in many ways operates in 20th century capitalists as far as there is a tier who has access to things. Traditional folks have access to funds. Even as far as who collects our NFTs, it's still a very crypto bro rich market. So catering to them, all of that, and even moving away from things, this space being so defined around the financial or everything is an asset, as opposed to changing the conversation to access and really putting the power in experience, which is not promoted in capitalism to begin with, right? And that is something I think if it's going to be built, it's going to be built by us, full stop. Because even though we are affected by capitalism and sometimes we move out of fear and scarcity and exclusivity and all of that rigmarole, um, we still have been the ones who are not, it's not, we're not blind to the harms of capitalism, so we can start to think and create our visions around what we actually want this space to be, because that's what the technology is daring us to do. It's like, I got you, but you got to come with the ideas, and you got to, not just an idea like, oh, here's a cool project. No, an idea that actually shapes how we operate in this space, so we can, not for nothing, make it easier for our folks to get in this space and not distracted by everything's about money, money, money. And then when they get scammed or rugged, then the narrative that they bring back to the community that this space is about some bullshit. So it makes it gets more problematic and difficult for us to onboard our people into where what is positive about this space. So Gitcoin is just one apparatus that can help our folks get access to funds that traditionally we have not been able to get access. So I want to use a good example, like Blue Dow. Shoot, 40 Acres was in the house, right? Um, Blue Dow, 40 Acres. These are folks are doing really well in this Gitcoin round because what? One, they came in with a set community that's raring and ready to go. Already got their wallets. They ain't none of that. They got to explain. Boom, right? So they were able to use to maximize the wealth of the number of people who are in their community to raise a great amount of money towards what their vision is for Web3, the projects they want to put out there. Now in my case, though I have community is not all that organized, and the bulk of the people who can really contribute it aren't in this space. So even though in the beginning, okay, I was getting donations, boom, 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 and the matching series was increasing. At some point, I remember one day I got like 8 donations in one day, and all of a sudden my matching went down. I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't understand at the time. So I kind of went off the hill. I said, what the fuck? Where's my money being diverted? Who got my money? Right? Well, the thing is, right? And this is really important. This is really important to understand. Okay. Um, First of all, do your research around how quadratic funding actually works. So there is the base money that people contribute, whether it's a dollar, $5, 50 or more. That is yours to have. But it is also, there is a number that goes up or down, which are your quadratic funding matching, which basically means that base amount of money plus this. But you do not have necessarily, what you create one day is not yours to keep forever. You still have to keep it up. You have to keep people in there because essentially you are competing with everybody else, right? So this is not magic money coming out of everywhere. It's just an equation that is placed on a funding pool of money, right? And in particular, projects like mine, which is under DEI, right, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have the smallest amount of that pool. So basically, it was about 50 of us, all right, competing for $150,000. All right. So for me, it became quickly like, okay, y'all have, excuse my friend, you got the niggas competing over crumbs now. Okay, cool. All right, I see you. But okay, but we gonna do something about that. Hopefully for the next round, right? And these are some of the lessons that we learned as a collective of grants that have a different vision for Web3. That in part, at least in using Gitcoin, part of our job is not only onboarding more folks of our folks into this platform, but getting people to contribute to the overall fund. So we are not fighting over beans at the end, and feeling a certain way about that. Where we have a lot more money to work from, people actually have room to breathe and truly fundraise for whatever their project or cause is. And this is really, really important to understand. Now, I know Afropunk, you're applying. One thing you should also understand in applying: read the freaking guideline. Not to say you haven't, but I remember when I first applied last spring, I unfortunately did not read all of the guidelines, and I presented it as an NFT project. That is a, with all the promises that you usually, roadmap, all that crap, right? Gitcoin ain't here for that. They don't want to hear nothing about no NFT project. You
You
will
ain't lying
get
about
that.
that. They don't want to hear it.
They don't
Mm-mm.
want to hear that. Even if it is an
Anything.
NFT project, do
NFT
not
or
put
token.
NFT in the application, because that's a big red flag for them for obvious reasons, right? Because a lot of NFT projects get rugged. They promise all this shit and cannot follow through with it. And so they don't want to support projects that are on about promises. They are more focused on building infrastructure, building out what the ecosystem will look like. Right. Again, back to my original point, we are the folks who truly can offer a different vision of what the Web3 ecosystem can look like. So just be mindful of that, to really read the guidelines so your time is not wasted and your feelings aren't hurt. And I mean, I'm in the Gitcoin Discord, and there are a few people like, why the fuck? And this is not just black folks, but people that introduce NFT projects, and they are mad. They're like, yeah, but it's going to help so and so, but they don't care because you basically are making promises, as opposed to really, showing what you want to do, right? And kind of leaving NFTs out of it. So that's a big heads up. But overall, just read the guidelines. Really try to understand how quadratic funding works, which I'm learning in real time. Right now, here's something I want to highlight, and this is a big, big thing. All right. And just note, I did post. I pinned, and I can maybe you can do it, Kwame, while I'm talking, but I did pin something uh, on my account that kind of breaks down. It's focused on my particular project, but it's kind of like this 3-step thing of really being able to donate, right? In a way that can truly maximize your money. Now, if you visited any Gitcoin grant page, you'll see that they'll say, "Oh, your dollar's worth $70, or your $100 is worth this," and you're like, "Oh, cool! I can support my friend now. All right, cool. I'm gonna give a buck. That's what I got." All right, and my buck is now going to be worth $70. But if you, in the process, did not, one, verify, not just verify, because there's a process where it's called passport, right? And they do that to make sure that every person donating is an actual human being, and you're not a bot or someone's trying to, break the system, right? So, but it not only creates security over this system, it actually helps that dollar be worth what it says. Because what happened to me is halfway through, all of a sudden people are donating and my matching, that second number, is going down. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, I already like started budgeting. But that wasn't mine to keep, right? I had to keep at it. And the thing I needed to tell people is that when you go through the whole passport system upon checking out or before you check out, don't just verify with one thing. So they give you 19 options, everything from your Gmail, like simple stuff like Facebook account or Twitter account, to your ENS account, more Web3 related stuff, or your GitHub account. Don't just verify with one. You need to verify with at least three. Because what that does is it can maximize it almost to 150% of what you're donating. That is what makes that needle actually move for the accounts you want to support. Otherwise, you actually may hurt the account that you want to support, which happened to me. Everyone came in like, we're going to support Hanifa. We love this idea. Boom, boom, boom. They were, supporting with $1, $5, a couple people $50, but they only verified with one thing. And when you're competing with other accounts, where everyone over there, again, this is a knowledge issue, access to knowledge, right? Everyone over there is donating, knowing that you have to verify with at least three accounts to really maximize that whatever you're giving. There, now I'm competing with that, right? So it's not just about the amount of people who support your project, but that they do it correctly, to really just a complete follow through. And it's a lot of little steps, and it can be a bit much, but once you do it once, you are ready. And not only are you ready for this round, you're ready for the next round, right? So even if you miss out on this round, this is how you can prepare for the next round. Whether you are, with your own grant and like prepping your own people, ready for the upcoming round, or you want to support the people who are already here. That is absolute. Like I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm a curse. I'm a raining them for a minute. I don't care what anybody say, because that has been a nap. I've been telling people, oh, all you need is a dollar. All you need is a dollar. It's really worth 70. Now the dollar on my account is worth 60. You know, that went down because people kept donating, but not really verifying with more than one account. So I can't say it enough. That is a step you cannot skip. You cannot skip that step if you truly want to support the grants that you want. I'll
Yo,
stop there just to give questions if people have questions, and then I'll talk more specifically about my grant.
okay, I see that Afropunk had their hand up from before. I just want to say that's I got to that point. I was a little like, oh man, I'm tying my. If I was someone who was completely anti doxing yourself, then I feel like it might have been an awkward moment. But I was like, I don't really care. This is my Facebook. This is my Twitter. This is my, and you're kind of tying all those to your wallet. So I think that's an interesting thing. Maybe a conversation for later. But I want to hear from Afropunk.
Yeah, I want to say really quick, like it's even stuff on the platform you don't really have to dox yourself all the way. Like you can connect your ETH address, that helps out. And like if you're, your Twitter, like most people Twitter, you're not even connected to their real identity. So, that counts. I think the minimum is like three things to get the 150% like match contribution for your account. But my question is, so like I've been like supporting people since last week, trying to learn how the system works and everything. And a question I wasn't able to get answered from anyone is like, if I was to donate to someone multiple times, would that hurt or would that help them? Assuming that the match contribution will still work. Does it work each time or is it just one time?
Actually, the advice that I was given, and in my situation, is to go back for those folks who already supported me, which at this point is 60 some odd people, to have them go back, still donate that dollar, whatever they can afford, but double down on the verification. So I'm going to say yes to that. I don't. I want to be careful on answering that, and maybe I don't. 40 acres is also, if they want to come up, they know the answer to that. If it hurts or harms an account, I mean, money is money. I think it's quite all right to keep supporting folks. Just really be mindful of the verification aspect.
Please, Afropunk, go ahead.
All right, and here's my second or last question. So I was doing some reading and thinking last night, and I noticed a lot of people who's doing this, they focusing heavy on the like dollar match contribution. So something I noticed this is that like it's a match grant program, also a donation crowdfunding type of platform. So will it be? Do you think it's important to kind of like focus on the donation part to increase that, or is it more important to focus on a dollar per dollar contribution? And and on top of that, like if I was, let's say the $100 match contribution is $355. So I think if I was to do $90, that's 90 times 60, which is way more than 300. Is that correct?
Don't ask me any math questions. That no, seriously.
Well,
Because
not
I'm
not
still,
not really the
I
math
like,
part.
what I mean. I stopped at that pre-calc, but I forgot all that. That was high school. I ain't never used it yet, right? So the equation itself to me is still like, that GIF where you have the white woman with all the math symbols, like what the hell is going on? I'm still there, and mind you, Gitcoin doesn't control or master what happens or manipulates it. The equation is basically working the things. So I think it is equally as important around the amount of people who donate, but that, like we just discussed, that match, to keep that match up or have it keep raising up. The verification is just important. Of course, more the merrier, because you still get that base money. Whether you get little match or a lot of matching, you still get that base money. It's still old school fundraising in that regard. But I think prioritizing it all. Like, I don't think there's really a hierarchical thing. You just need to make sure everybody checks those boxes. I think yes, you can donate more than once. I don't think it's going to harm a grant. Um, I'm not sure if like donating twice, and this is also in the context like if you're someone who already verified multiple times, right? I don't know if donating more so just adds to the base or affects the matching. If someone understands that question, I don't want to misspeak, um, but I don't know. I don't know if it does that. I just know that one of my missions for these remaining days is to contact folks who already donated and seeing, how they verified and getting them to go back, donate $1, but making sure they verified multiple times. So I don't know if I'm quite answering your question, and maybe I'm not the person to answer it.
Yes, you are.
All
Yes,
right, cool, cool.
appreciate it.
Well, I want to take a step back because I feel like you've already have experience Afropunk. Let me accept Dikayo up to the stage. We also have we've got Mansa, Mansa up on the stage. Love to hear from you, but first I just want to go take a step back, which is all right. So I actually had a GitHub account, so I don't know if we talked about that today, but that was cool. I just had to dig up my access. I didn't have to set up the GitHub account. Then, I kind of just worked my way through the process where it's asking me about my different identities, which I was slightly, I don't want to say creeped out by, but I was like, interesting. I feel like it is getting in the doxing side of things, but I'm not a person that really tries to hide behind a mask too much, anyways. But I won't, I won't stay on that. But now, at that point, now, how would we find your I guess the two things I have, Hanifa, like how do we find your project, Beat Me Down, in order um, to support it? I also want to mention Hanifa is going to be jumping on Point Show. That's Umba Daima on Wednesday, 7 p.m. EST. We'll go more in depth because today we have a short amount of time. We're going to let you go soon. But how do we find your project? And like, I also don't understand why me not like I did verify my different accounts, but if I give this money, why would it lower how much you get based on me not verifying? I don't understand that part yet, and I guess some of the quadratic funding.
Yeah, and y'all answer both of those questions. Yeah, I at first I didn't understand it too, and really I had to take a moment because people who know who was in the Telegram, I was livid because I thought it was taking away money from me. But again, that second number, as far as that matching number, in
Mm-hmm.
work, and it's bouncing off of what other people are doing and the rate, the frequency that people are donating to other projects in that verification issue. So I just want to reiterate how verification is not about trying to dox anyone. It's about security, that no one scams the system, and to double down and make sure people are incentivized to do that, that they maximize your dollar by the more times you verify that you're an actual human being. So it's really not about doxing. I want to reiterate that. I don't want anybody to be like, scared of that. It's really it is for security of the grantees. How to find mine? If you just look above, I put everything in there, a little 3-step thing. My link is in there. Also, if I maybe 40 acres, if you have the Quadratic Friends link post anywhere, maybe put that up there too. So the Quadratic Friends is something that women BIPOC folks do naturally. We become a collective. We work it out, come together to help each other. So I believe that's something that Blue Dow actually initiated. So we have a whole Telegram that's the Quadratic Friends, right? And so we are doing the work of not just promoting our own projects, but promoting each other's projects, and promoting the Gitcoin grants for our communities, right? Um, so another way to find my project and others like my project or other projects you may want to donate, please 40 acres find that link because I can't multitask right now. But we made a Quadratic Friends kind of like a search thing. So if you just use that link, it brings you to everyone who's under Quadratic Friends, which for the most part are DEI, or again, diversity, equity, and inclusion grants. There's some climate stuff under there too. But these are people who are thinking about Web3 differently. So you can easily put a dollar in everybody's basket. It's about close to 50 of us right now. And boom, and make sure again you verify, and boom, you have supported a lot of folks with your essentially $50, right? Another way is to simply go to gitcoin.co slash grants and the search bar, and either type in Beam Me Down or Beats Per Mint, and I should pop up in the search results. Also, another way is you can also, there is a tagging system. You can tag DEI. And again, a lot of the quadratic friends will come up under that, and you can do the whole basket checkout with that as well. Ah,
Amazing. So sorry, I see that NFT Manso, you had your hand up before, but I also heard some noise just now. Did someone want to say something in response? All right, we'll go with NFT Mansa.
I think, and I can't answer this like for sure. I just have experience with data and the selling of data. And so, I mean, that would be one of the reasons why they need certain data points to be met, because they're going to sell them. And on line 29.3, you can actually check out the license that you grant them by using their platform. So yeah, any user generated content, it's pretty stiff. Like, I mean, if you're using this platform by posting on them on that platform, you are actually giving them worldwide, perpetual, non-exclusive, fully transferable, royalty-free, irrevocable commercial rights and license to host, store, use, transfer, display, perform, reproduce, modify, adapt, edit, combine with other materials, publish, distribute, create derivative works from, promote, exhibit, broadcast,
Jesus H
syndicate,
Christ.
sublicense, including without limitation to third party. This is the one, including without limitation to third party individuals, media channels, platforms, and distributors, and otherwise use and exploit in any manner whatsoever, or grant a third party the right to do any of the foregoing. So that means basically that data that you're talking about, that user generated data, they get to do all of that with it, and that's why they compensate you. That's their business model.
You know what? I want to thank you, and I'm doing backflips and passing out over here. Thank you for your due diligence in that. I didn't read the fine print, but this also speaks to how we can move together as people who are committed to this space, looking unlike how every other wave of tech has looked like. That kind of, selling data, exploitative, dipped in capitalism. Because at the end of the day, it's a fuck. Excuse me. It's an equation. All right. So you can create another Gitcoin platform. You need an equation in the background, and you need a pool of funds that are drawn.
This is Tech Misfits Union.
That's not cool. And for the folks who don't read the fine print, which most of us don't, that's not cool. I'm sorry. I'm just going to put that out there. Now, I know one of the initiatives that the Quadratic Friends were thinking of doing, and I also give you another option too, other than Gitcoin. But one of the things we were thinking of doing was, I think I quickly mentioned it earlier, was to help direct funds to the fund that is specific to DEI. That's something, and I mean, that's like knocking on all these, crypto rich, NFT projects, all in mugs that, about, oh, we want to help black people. Well, okay, come on. You know what I mean? That, the show and prove. I don't want to hear the rhetoric. Show and prove. Put 50K up in this funding pool. But it is disheartening to know about that fine print, and now you're gonna make me want to go back and read it myself. But with that being said, there are other options. So, and I don't want to speak too much on Pambala. 40 acres. I mean, you probably can speak the best because you really understand his platform. But this is a brother who was also in Kernel. The Kernel was an incubator that I was in as well. And not for nothing, if you guys aren't doing anything after this, I'm going to be interviewing 40 Acres, We Seed. I forgot the other person, but I'm going to be interviewing some of the Quadratic Friends. to the Kernel audience, which is again is another incubator, but it's going to be on Google Meets, and that link is somewhere on my timeline. But it's a big flyer, green flyer, with the link to RSVP, and that's from 2 to 4 today, 2 to 4 tomorrow, and 2 to 4 on Wednesday. But Panvala was created by a brother coming out of the Kernel Incubator. Um, he initially put it to support Gitcoin grants, but it's for me in my reading. Um, he has his own method in helping to raise funds. So I don't want to speak too much on it, only because I'm still fully trying to understand it myself. So maybe 40 Acres, you can open your mic and break that down, because that is a black owned company.
Yeah, very, very briefly. Uh, one, top of the morning, afternoon, wherever you at. Two, yes, Panvala is just another tool in the toolbox. Really relying on one service for anything in this Web3 space goes against the ethos of decentralization. So, really big ups to black led protocols like Panvala. But from what we understand, it's basically repatriating advertising dollars by having these companies pledge direct dollars to these communities that goes into a pool of funds that's helped to amplify the Gitcoin fundraisers as well. So whenever you're checking out, I know we'll get to it a little bit later. There are a plethora of ERC20 tokens, but if a grant is partnered with Panvala and you donate in the Pan token, that just further amplifies beyond the quadratic funding. And I think it's a multiple of seven for the match instead of just the traditional quadratic funding. So it's kind of crazy. But
Can
when
I
it
ask a
comes to
question real quick? I'm sorry, I have to interject. Is that matching? Can that happen post a Gitcoin round, or it has to happen within the Gitcoin round?
no, it happens before because like you got to get onboarded to Panvala.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
for me, it's more so preparing for round 16.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have
Oh,
a whole boot camp or something.
about show.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you spell Panvala? Is it Panvela?
No, VALA, and their at is
Awesome.
PANVALAHQ. So you could go there, check it
Awesome.
out,
I
and
think I
there's
may be following them already, but I just went from the other space where I met you, Hanifa. But I just wanted to make sure.
Can you
Yeah.
send
It's
me
the
the link? Because I
journalist
just
in
had.
me.
yeah, I'm about to drop they latest tweet in the billboard. Y'all be sure to tap in because like we said, it's a black led protocol focused on really like further amplifying this public good stack. So we need all of that because it's been a ton of conversation about feedback and constructive criticism for this one platform, which means that we need to constantly question and evolve.
So this is a funding is this a black platform that you can support the Gitcoin funds? Like, I don't fully understand yet.
It's two ways. So you can through Gitcoin donate in their native token, and that will further amplify the grant on Gitcoin. And then you can also through the tweet that I just showed or threw up, they have their stamp NFTs, which is another way to raise funds for your community.
Okay. Wow.
So there is, there are some real possibilities. Data selling aside, there are some real, possibilities in regards to raising funds for incredible projects. And I'm seeing a lot of people in this room. I know what you're doing. Like, you need this money, right? And deserve the money. And I think your projects are strong enough to get the money, and you have communities to really accelerate the process. I mean, you may have to think, if them selling your data is something that you want to mess with, because that's some real stuff. We are trying to move beyond that template. But that aside, this is a really good platform on the bare bones equation wise that can help out with that. I know I have to leave like in a few minutes. If I can get, I'm just gonna. I know we're going to talk more um, about my project specifically on Wednesday, But let me just give an overview to hopefully inspire folks just a little bit to donate, not for nothing. And please follow all the steps. All right. So basically, my project is both a collection and a new music protocol, a new music market paradigm. Something I've been working on since I've been in the space. And I got my aha moments from just a lot of due diligence, a lot of research, and just straight up fortitude. Because as someone who's been in music for 30 years, I knew that something was up. Like this is going to deplete itself fairly quickly, and it's not. Well, here's the pain points I have with the music market as it stands. Basically four main pain points. One obviously is affordability, which blocks our people from getting in. And it also is a somewhat of a skewed market because it is not a market where artists define their worth. It is a market that allows you to do that to the degree that you can do it. Let's be really clear. Clarity is a really healthy thing as far as how markets work, right? So I really am not cool with that narrative that, oh, I can define my value. No, the market's allowing you to do that, right? But what happens when the masses actually get in? That's an actual market. And they not only will let you remind you of how much your music is worth, utility or not, but fans have a really have a serious purpose, and that is to maintain the honesty as you grow, right? Because a fan will either boo you, stay quiet, give you crickets, or or love you to death, right? And drag their friends to a show or whatever to your NFT. So that's really important. That's actually speaks to pain number two. Where this is more of a collector market and not a fan base market. Because a 25 or if you're lucky, 100 collectors still don't make a show, honey. And we have to remind ourselves as musicians who we are, what we've been made of for millennia. And this is record labels aside. We have a particular relationship with our fans, and that is being put to the side in lieu of just what collectors think or not. And that really reminds me of the Harlem Renaissance patronage, and I'm not cool with that. It paid Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston's bills, but trust me, they had to cater to whatever degree to their patrons, or they couldn't upset their patrons. All right. But fans don't work that way. All right. Because if you have enough of those fans, it's music mostly. If you have enough of those fans, maybe some fans don't like a song you put out, but trust me, the rest of them are going to roll with you. All right. The third pain point is onboarding the Web2 fan base you already have. That is just damn near, nah, it just ain't happening. It just ain't happening. It just ain't happening because I haven't been able to sell or pitch paying $300 or more for a song yet to the average person. I don't care how much they love me. You know what I mean? And then, it's a whole wallet thing, all the things. And yes, our people need to understand this tech, but they need a means to first trust it, right? Um, Incentives to want to learn, giving the time to learn. Um, and then fourth is something that we as musicians, artists in general, but musicians in particular, have suffered for well before even Web 1, is that having a solid autonomous understanding of the trajectory of your career and all that you can do as a musician. Where we keep getting fucked mentally and spiritually is our relationship with capitalism. And capitalism says you got to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. You got to get your Grammy. You got to do this. You got to do that, right? And that will feed your soul. That will make you feel important, right? That will put you on a hierarchy of other musicians. And it's very American centric. And a lot of musicians, even some of the big ones, they may tour overseas, but they don't really know how to embrace what overseas can give you, right? I Most of my career has been overseas. I've done stuff in America, but really in America, I can walk the streets, and overseas, some places in overseas, I can't. Okay, so there's a whole other world out there, and so I'm hoping that in this particular platform, as people build their fan base and develop different relationships with these new fans and their old fans, that gives them the autonomy not only to truly state their value, but to open their mind and vision to the trajectory of their career over time. Not even the next couple years or next 5 years. Like, oh, okay, in 10 years, I want to set up things over here. I want to collaborate with these people. Really, really, this so what's possible is so expansive beyond the narrative that we have been told as musicians. And I really don't want us to fall into that same bucket, that psychological bucket that in the end will fuck us. And I see that slowly happening because we're living bag to bag now, right? You know, it's the bags are cute. I'm not mad at the bags, and those who are able to and smart enough that reinvest that in a career, that is seed investment. So I think music as art or fine art has a purpose, but it can't be the only lane and the only option we have in the market because that is going to screw us, especially when the bulk of musicians, of independent musicians that have been doing this shit for a minute, get in here and they bring in real fans. And another thing, to make a healthy market, we need them in here. And they're not. I've had so many conversations with people who are like, they tour, they got real fan bases. You don't never see them on the Grammys, but they are real independent musicians, right? And every time I start talking about the process of getting in here and the benefit of getting in here, the benefit seems cute, but when they hear that they got to do all this fucking work and it's not aligned with their production, their seasonal production, you know, how they act, their output, you know, that's like they start diverting their eyes, like, okay, girl, I love you, but I don't think so, because that don't work for me. I know how does Web3 help me maximize how I already make money, not have to, you know, take some time aside from that to learn all this and then to bring my people. No, 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 it has to be included. So I took all of this, right, all of these pain points, and I think I've created a protocol that makes sense, that is aligned with how independents, in particular musicians, actually look at their career and want to work their career. And what makes it more intriguing is that where I got a lot of my aha moments is when I went to old school feminist theory. Yes, feminist theory, and how you prioritize, what you prioritize, and also using time as a common denominator. And so time is I almost call it proof of time, you know, aka the feminist infused protocol, because it really uses time to answer all of those pain points. And I'll talk about it in depth on Wednesday, but unfortunately, I have to break out in a couple.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing this time with us, Hanifa. You've shed light, and you always speak in a way that you got to be just you hit those important things that we really need to be thinking about. So thank you so much. We look forward to Wednesday On Point Talk Show. Yeah, thank you for everyone for being here. I think we'll go on, continue to speak for a few more minutes. I did want to ask a couple of questions, but Hanifa, enough respects, enough love, and I'm set up. I'm not so, I mean, I more want to support your project than I am concerned about the privacy, because on all these platforms, they're already doing what they're doing with our data. So I'm already verified and ready to throw something down to ensure that what you envision comes into fruition with the hard work that you've always been doing. I see that someone's got. Oh,
All right,
Dikayo, I guess.
I'm gonna break out now. I just want to thank you, Kwame, for the time, and we're gonna definitely get into it on Wednesday. And if anyone else has questions about Gitcoin, 40 Acres can answer it for you. They know their shit just as well as I do, if not a little bit more.
Beautiful. Thanks
Well,
for
actually,
being
they
here.
can't because actually I'm about to interview them in 10 minutes. So maybe. I'm sorry.
Right. All cool.
Maybe
All
not
cool.
40.
We'll do it on the On Point show on Wednesday, 7 EST. 40 Acres, thank you for being here. Hanifa, thank you for being here.
Yes, yes. And please retweet
Yeah,
me
enough
my
love.
tweet, all the tweets above. That helps too. That's something you can do right now.
Retweet, y'all. Let's
Yes.
retweet it.
Say
All
what?
right.
Thank you. Love.
Enough love. Peace. Yeah, so about that specific, I'm just curious what people are thinking about, regardless, at least I told you how I think. I'm just gonna, I got some ETH ready. I'm gonna throw down from hearing about the project, about Beam Me Down, it being a DEI project. Is anyone here, or Afropunk? I'm curious of your thoughts. Oh, big ups. We have Wellness Brit in the building. Enough love. Yeah, what your thoughts are about with this being presented, that this data is an issue, but this is the way with the quadratic funding to maximize the amount of funds that go to a particular project. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I know we all in Web 3 and stuff like that. So as far as like our data and we trying to move away from Web 2 type stuff, it's like it's kind of like the cost of doing business. You know what I mean? And it's like you select what information you want to submit to the Gitcoin website, right? And you allow that information. Like someone said earlier, it's in the fine print. So like if you don't want to give away your Facebook, you don't have to give away your Facebook. You just give away your wallet address. Not your wallet well, yeah, your wallet address. If you want to give that away, then your Twitter. So it's like in order to have access to funding, I'm not saying like we don't have to do this. There's other ways we can like raise funding. Like the platform is basically a donation based crowdfunding platform, right? In addition to that, with grant matching, that's what it is. There's other platforms out there. You can start your own platform, but we all decide to use Gitcoin, knowing the risks and the consequences. So they made it easy for us to do this, and they also match people in funding. So I feel like it's up to people to decide what they want to do because in any system we can find flaws and complain about it all day, but as far as what I've been seeing from everyone who's been participating, this is working for people and it's making them happy. People are raising like $50,000 worth of funding when they would probably never even thought to raise that type of funding before, other than like probably selling like products on the primary. That's it. But other than that, raising 50K, using crowdfunding, like crowdfunding haven't even came across a lot of people's tables. So I'm glad that Gitcoin is kind of creating this opportunity for people to learn the process for crowdfunding and people are putting in the work to raise funding versus trying to sell products. Um, and like kind of bust their brains out trying to do that. I think this is a good opportunity for a lot of people. But like I said, it's up to people to decide what information they want to submit to the platform.
Right, right, got you. Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a good point. And we won't stay on that too much, but I don't know if NFT Manta or if NFT It, who just jumped on stage, if you want to speak to that or have any other thoughts you'd like to bring up. This is a BNA Community Hangout. Yeah, any thoughts?
I mean,
NFT.
I know I was gonna like when I looked at it, I don't care. I'm Docs. I'm a musician. Like hundreds of thousands of people know me, so it's not something that I could just escape from at all.
Right,
I can't hide nothing. If you go look up Monster, that's enough. Like if you just go a couple pages deep, you're gonna find that little black dude with dreads. So it's not, and that's my face, and I've been using my face as my logo for like the last 10 years. So I didn't know that the world was going to get all crypto.
right,
So it's kind of counter. And I mean, again, like you said, I'm on Twitter right now using my data, selling my data. At least they give me a little gift card. Twitter gives me a little gift card when they ask me questions with $50 here and there. But I think it's a good opportunity. I think crowdfunding is a great thing. It's kind of weird though because I look at crypto, ERCs, any token as that exact same thing without the platform.
right, right.
Like I see that we're kind of into a centralized model, but I'm not one of those. I'm not a DeFi maximalist. I'm not a decentralized max. I think you need both. I think until Web3 can handle the load of Web2 as far as traffic and bandwidth, we have to use Web2. We have to. It's no way that we're gonna, you know, there's no way that we're gonna compete seriously.
No, I hear that. I've been thinking about this for a while, and that whole like decentralization maximalist thing. I just really don't think it makes sense. Kind of like what you're just saying. There are some things that we pool together. Whenever we pool together, we are not decentralized 100%. And so, it is what it is. I think our communal way of being as Black people that speaks to not being 100% decentralized, not being 100% individualistic. We are, we are communal people, and that's a form of centralizing around whatever, whatever we believe in, what we want to see, common visions, etc. And that's why we build organizations to do things we have, and we do build organizations in order to bring our dreams into fruition. So I hear you on that. I see Ikayo jumped on stage and we didn't hear much from you, so we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hey, yeah. I just followed Mansa in here, as I like to do, and I saw Hanifa was in here too, because I was a co-host for a previous 40 Acres space, and I just really think it's awesome how many things y'all are bringing together. Like, I'm in data science, so I know all about GitHub, and I heard you talking about GitHub earlier. Still a bit of a noob when it comes to how that connects to Gitcoin. I wasn't going to reveal that, but hey, I mean, there's no problem with being a noob.
No problem at all. No, like that's this is all new, so I don't trust people who say that they're seasoned experts at everything. I'm like, really? I trust the people who say I'm learning, so I respect that.
Well, it's like I was an influencer in the data science space, and still am, before I even knew what Web3 was. And then I come into Web3 and realize that there's so much potential for, bridging Web 2 and Web 3 through data, and that there's a lot of synergies there. So now I've incorporated Web 3 pretty seamlessly into my Web 2 data science business. I'm a media entrepreneur. I have a media company that focuses solely on data science, but now Web 3 as well, kind of documenting this amazing era that we're in. And the focus for me is, and always will be, offering a platform for primarily Black and brown women who are influential in tech. Because a lot of times, like we get the stage and we're expected to talk about diversity instead of our own projects. And I think, the conversation needs to be about both, but mainly about showing how many Black and brown women have been like instrumental in tech discoveries. And a lot of people don't know that. So yeah, I really love what you're doing. I love the people and the crowd that you've brought in here. And I'd love to support in any way I can, creating content about y'all, understanding how everything connects. It's really great. And I rugged a few times because I'm always on spaces and my phone, it's my grandmother's phone and I just don't want to give it up, but it's been 2 years and I'm like dependent on it. So it's like, give me a break.
You rug because Twitter rugs us. That's what Twitter does. But I want to say, you being like, I love that perspective and experience of being in Web 2 and like what that means. Like you mentioned, a smooth integration of Web 3 once you came across that. And I think that's super big, super important. And I also, like, I have to ask you, are you a tech misfit yet?
I don't know. Oh, misfit, like the community. No, I'm not.
Okay, so you see tech misfits, everyone in the space. This is the point where we let you know about tech misfits. Tech misfits is we're building a diverse community of tech professionals, and the one I would say is to follow Tech Misfits. You could go to techmisfitsapp.com and you'll get all the information there, but you can sign up for the wait list where you get a chance to get a free NFT. And the NFT, although it is beautiful art by an amazing artist, everything unique, and in fact that art reflects the goal with the visual, and there's more to it, so bear with me, but the goal of those visual pieces of artwork are to reflect the diversity in humanity and in the tech space, And so, like, when you get your Tech Misfits NFT, it could be a big person, it could be a thin person, it could be someone with stylish hair, as you could see the Tech Misfit that's right below on the in the second row there. And so it is really beautiful art by Nia Peachpod, but it's really the key into a tech, an app that we're building. And the goal is, for example, for young people who are looking for mentors, people who are looking for skills development opportunities, or people who are trying to give those opportunities to other people, or companies or founders that are looking for skilled talent. Tech Misfits, the app, which the NFT, the digital asset, is your key to open up or to access the app. So I would say, please join. I'm a Tech Misfits. You can find me. I'm symbolic in the crowd, but I'm so hype on this because myself, working in video games, working in tech, I've always felt like like, not, being a Tech Misfits to me is an endearing thing, because we're the ones who look, like Hanifa said, out, you know, outside of the box. We think differently. We implement, and we have really been the missing link. When you don't have people of color, when you don't have women, you end up with stuff that's boring, stuff that just doesn't work right. It's not built for everyone. And so we want to empower people coming together. So your story made me think about that. Please, everyone in the space, go to techmisfitsapp.com, and we would love to build together. Now, talking about dope art, I'm seeing in this space we have these, like, the clown face looking. I want someone to tell me about that. Like, yo, NFT EDT has
The
like this,
mimes.
the mines. Yo, who can tell us about that? Because I need to know about that. Even another person jumped in at I saw down at the bottom that had one. So yeah, if you could and would, please tell us about the mines.
All right. So the Mimes are a Web3 meme brand and marketing agency. And basically, we just go around doing cool stuff. Like, we got a party going on in Houston. It's going to be December 31st, New Year's party. And we're going to have like scavenger hunts all over the city. Going to partner with some venues, maybe some colleges, do some onboard. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. It's happening. It's happening.
He was referring to me freaking out in our DMs about, oh my God, I'm going to go to the New Year's in Houston 2023. I'm in New Orleans, so I'm like, I'm
New Orleans
giddy.
is right after that. Don't even worry. Like, New Orleans is right after that.
Oh, so I can wait? Like, I don't have to hop, skip, and jump on a plane. I can wait
You
for y'all
should
to
not wait. I'm gonna be real. You shouldn't wait. You shouldn't wait. You're
Okay,
gonna
so I
wanna
come to the
meet.
Houston
Wait,
party and then we fly back together. See
Let's
how
do
it
it.
works.
Let's do it.
that's how it's done. That's how it's done. I love, and it goes. It brings me to what Dikayo was mentioning about, like, who was in the space, and, like, yo, that's how I see it too. When we're able to get Hanifa, knowing her track record and the work, and now learning about these memes, or mimes, I apologize. And it's like, yo, there's so much stuff out there, and we really need to be connected. I always say it's like this fluid community where there's sometimes people, our friends, longtime friends, will be out there working, putting in work, and then we reconnect when it's time, when they're doing this project or that project. So to learn about this, and I can't say I'm in Toronto, Canada. I can't say I know I've been to Houston. So y'all are giving me a reason to look at this map and see how it all connects, and when we'll be able to connect in the physical. This is it's amazing that we can connect in these ways and share ideas and projects, aspirations. But then when we finally can meet in the person in these different places, when we have the aligning values and things we want to do, it is amazing. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna look out as I'm on these internet Web3 streets. I'm gonna be looking for these minds. That's all I'm saying there. I love it.
We got a website. We got mimexmime.xyz. We accept pretty much all fiat, but we're on the Tezos blockchain. Mainly, if you want to get discounts, you get deep discounts right now if you're familiar with Tezos, just for being in the know. And those deep discounts are going to translate to access to these events that we're going to be doing all over the country. We have musicians. So I started following Hanifa immediately. I'm like, oh shit. You probably
Yo,
know people that know
yo, yo,
people.
yo. Sorry. I'm trying to hit it. It's like mime x mime, or how do you spell that? Dot XYZ. How do you spell that?
Yeah, mime, MIME, mime.
X,
Dot.
the word.
Yeah, just the letter, just the letter
Right.
X, like times, because it's really mime squared.
X mime. Okay, there we are. All right. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got you. I was just trying to go
Nah,
there.
it's all good.
Anywhere in the country, yo, this Web3 thing is global. What about Canada? What about anyone? You know what I'm saying? I'm
So
just
we're
Canada.
down. Listen, I'm gonna send you a partnership form because we just talked to Double O Flow, a graffiti artist in London, in the London area, and they throw raves and things of that nature. So we were talking about how we can utilize Web3 technology with QR codes to do these silent tags that only people in the community know about, and we can make these apps that will be right in people's faces, but you just need to know what to look for. Once you see a certain symbol, oh man, I got my phone out. Let me hit the app up because I saw that hand. I saw that little white hand saying something. So I'm like, hold on, let me scan this. And you scan it in the app and there's some instructions or it's a game because we're also partnering with this company called Geocache to do IRL NFT and Web3 events where you can get NFTs just by finding the right item. And I don't know if we're the first to do this. I've seen other companies do it, but we might be like the first NFT brand to like do um, physical airdrops, where we've actually designed a means for people to be able to collect NFTs in person without ever owning a wallet.
Without ever owning a wallet. Yo, that is absolutely amazing. I'm on the website here. I want us to connect. Just like I said, we have
I
these
was gonna
two.
say last year at Miami Art Basel, Tezos they had that set up where you scan this QR code and just like that, it automatically gets you a wallet and it put your NFT in there when you scan it. And I thought that was pretty dope. It onboarded a lot because that booth was in the middle of the whole entire event. So with so many traditional people from like the art world who came to Web3 in an instant just by scanning a QR code, and it was packed. I thought that was crazy, but they have that set up somewhere. I'm not for sure how they did it, but when you create a Kukai wallet, you not using like a seed phrase. Like you have a choice to do that, but it's like the way they had it set up. You scan that QR code, connect it to one of your social media profiles, then bam, NFT on wallet, seamless. Literally take less than a minute to do.
So now you take that concept, that beautiful concept of marketing, right, and you take it and you put it in one of the largest economies in the world at strategic locations that are high traffic, and you start introducing this to not the high society of art. You start introducing this to the masses, and that's how we onboard the world into Web3, and that's one of our missions. We're not here for the gatekeepers. We're here for everybody else, and we're very intentional with that. We know gatekeepers and we love them. We're not hating on you. Do what you do, but we're here for our audience. And just like Hanifa was saying, some of us have fans that we're bringing with us, and those fans know people that know people that know people that know people. And I think that's why this name Mime Squared is appropriate.
Right, right. Amazing. Well, I look forward to hearing more. I feel like there could be great opportunity. Um, yo, let's shoot a message and see what it looks like in the. Let's do back channel discussion and whether it's the communication with our communities, bringing people together for online events or the in-person events. BNA as well as Daima is doing events in at the NFT NYCs. We've done events here in Toronto, digital to physical. We've done Art Basel, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm assuming y'all will be doing things, so it will be a great opportunity. So I definitely want to connect y'all with our partnerships and we got. I want to shout out. I think, yeah, ID, you're still in the place. He's always like, "Yo, you coming to Art Basel?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Come on, man." So, I one of these days, I'm gonna have to travel across the border and come to some of these NFT events, and I'm sure that the mimes are going to be doing some great work as well. So I'd love to connect. That's all I'm going to say on that. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about your regarding the mime projects or the Kaio. I see that 3D bystander is here. He hasn't spoken yet, so I do want to say, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. You know what I'm saying? Feeling nice. A lot of things. Which one of y'all going to Basel?
Come again?
Oh, how much y'all going to Basel?
We don't know. We don't know. All I know is that IV produces like, yo, you have to go. What are you talking about? So
Yeah,
I I might have to go. Plus, I'm
I'm.
in Canada. It's going to be freezing. Like, why would I not go?
Yeah, no, I'm curating. I'm curating a gallery with them, making it collective in Basel, like during that weekend and stuff. So definitely trying to link up with a lot of artists. I think one thing that's like a big focus is like for us, like we're just focused on like onboarding a lot of people that are local to the area rather than just people on Twitter. So I think it's gonna be like real interesting. I don't know who brought up the Tez thing too, but I think what I've been noticing because I'm regularly around like the Wynwood area is that there's a lot more like Web3 integrations with like amenities such as like foods and drinks and like other stuff. And I think a lot of people are gonna take more of like an immersive approach for like Art Basel, um, as a way of like showing you why Web3 is cool, not just telling you. So yeah.
Yo, I love that point. What can you give an example of how someone might show? I feel like Mansa just mentioned something that is an example, but can you 3D bystander give an example of what that might look like, showing as opposed to telling?
So like a lot of artists that are afraid to come into Web3, like, you know, like usually are just exposed to like the press of like the PFP projects and stuff like that. But like kind of showing like events that highlight one of one artists, things that like kind of fit like a traditional like gallery, like art gallery setup, but still having things that are like immersive towards the Web3 experience. I think that's like a lot of things. That's like really big for what I see a lot of event coordinators doing, where instead of trying to stick a panel in the middle of the event, we curate like a really good immersive event and then have a lot of those Web3 integrations in the actual event rather than like pitching it to them. And it kind of creates that, oh shit, this is actually kind of cool. I didn't know it was that you could do it like that. I didn't know that you could pick up a piece like that. I didn't know that, that there's a certain economy for artists like that on here. Because believe it or not, the majority of like artists IRL don't even know what an NFT is. But seeing another like one of one artist in their position kind of does show that context a little bit more. So yeah. Also, I think like a big thing for Web3 is like the event coordinating is gonna get better. I think it's going to be able to show that experience for Web3 a bit more for like the regular person that doesn't know anything about NFTs.
Right. Nah, thank you for that. Yeah, that's I think that is key. Instead of just talking about something, being like, boom, here's an NFT, here's an experience, here's an immersive engagement, that you're already in it. Like instead of saying like this is Web3, it's coming, it's this future thing. It's like you're right in it by being right here. So that is, I think, a great weight on board.
Yeah,
Hey
I think
guys, can I
Tez is
post this
doing a
to
pretty
the
good role of it.
jumbotron? I got a
Yeah,
tweet
man.
that's
What?
actions over words that's kind of like showing that immersive experience. Like, so we did a digital scavenger hunt, and again, I just rather just show you. I'll put the tweet in the comment.
Yeah, yeah. You could tell us about it too. I don't like. It's hard to hear the sound if there is sound. I'm sure there's sound, but yeah, definitely share in the jumbotron and let us know what y'all been doing.
All right, so this is our digital scavenger hunt that we promised the people that we would do, and we always told them like at some point it's gonna be like get rich in the game, get rich in real life, and we're very serious about that. But a lot of people were doubting, and we just kind of simply service design something so simple. It was elementary to us that I was surprised that people thought it would be so difficult to implement. But it's simply just a game of scavenger on a website, and you are rewarded with that QR code that hosts the wallet that has the money in the NFTs inside of it. It's pretty simple, and I think that what's missing in this space is a little bit of creativity. We got a whole bunch of technology, but I think people are really missing in just basic creativity. Like, we're in spaces right now, so I'm a creative, so I was like, how can we make spaces better? Oh, there are word games that you can play, like Double A. It's a word game that you play simply by forming sentences with words that start with the same letter, and whoever can form the longest sentence wins. That could be a giveaway versus retweet this and do this and all that boring stuff that we really do in these spaces. Creativity, right? So a lot of people strong in the tech, weak in the creativity. It's like, yeah, you can get this thing going, but then when we get to your party, it's the same as the last one.
There's a saying that like tech bros are like the worst at like event coordinating because the creativity is like always like low. And I think like um especially when you think about event coordinating is it's about um putting together all of like especially like NFTs. A big portion of what NFTs are is the artist. So like how can you like incorporate the artist as much as possible for anything creative and immersive, and like kind of putting something, as we say, like innovative, like it feels innovative. You don't can't just tell me it's innovative. You have to like feel like it's innovative. And I think like events are like the best way to do that. So I really like what you're doing, bro.
I'll see you at one of the events, bro. We're gonna take this show on the road. We're actually gonna tour the whole. We're doing a national tour with a few known artists who are gonna be sponsoring this. I'm not gonna say anything about it, you know.
DM, DM, back channels. Tech by choice. I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the tech bros are not good at setting up events. Um, for those of you who may not know, this is Jade Katz behind the Tech by Choice account. I am not a tech bro, but I work in tech. And the reason why they suck at setting up events is because they don't know how to connect to community. It has nothing to do with the fact that they are working in tech, because I know a lot of people who work in tech and are, you know, of color. And the same way we put on events for family and friends, we do the same thing for tech events, whether we're educating or anything like that. And I think that's a big thing that's missing in the Web3 space, is that people don't know how to connect to community. We throw around this word a lot when we're talking about discords, when we're talking about uh, parties and things like that. But when you go there, how many people who connect to community by default have a good time? If you ask around, if it's not the right party, the number is low. So I think we were right. We're on the mark when we're talking about how do we engage with the people we're connecting to in this digital space, and how do we bring like the in real life events is key. But I think again, the foundation of that is learning how to be in community.
I I completely agree.
Thanks for sharing that. I totally agree with you. I think, there's a lot that the community can learn from women who are community builders. I mean, that's what we're designed to do, and we do it really well. So thanks for sharing that.
I'm curious. So Tech by Choice, I want to ask one, if you could tell us about the organization. You mentioned community, and we were talking about community, like general conversation is out there, but we also generally there's the conversation about decentralization. So I'm curious curious about Tech by Choice, the organization, and what your thoughts about community versus decentralization.
Yeah, so a little bit about Tech by Choice. We are a nonprofit that started about 3, almost 4 years ago at this point. We came out of the space of not being recognized. No one sees the experience of transitioning into tech from the marginalized perspective, even though people promote diversity and all of these tech groups. At the time that we were created, no one was really doing work to address mental health awareness. No one was addressing financial literacy and a lot of the gaps that are created by systematic barriers that are created for our communities. So we're like, if they don't got it, we got it. So let's put something together. And so over the years, we've grown to about 1,500 members. And we don't really market ourselves about what we do because we actually have spent a lot of time with learning how to be community driven. And over the last 2.5 years, I'm going to say, we have been slowly transforming into a DAO because that's actually the structure we were working in prior to the last pop of like Web3. And so we're now leveraging blockchain tools to help us continue to be in community. So when it comes to like decentralization and community, I think the way that we talk about DAOs and decentralized and communities is the way that most marginalized communities move in general. Like whenever someone is late on paying a bill, I don't know how many times I've seen my family growing up saying like, my mom could say like, hey, I need an extra 20 bucks to make the light bill this month. Who got me? One of my other aunts will say like, okay, cool. I'm going to give you this extra 20, pay your light bill, but I need this money back by this date. And so money was always flowing. Support was always there. We didn't need to use
NFT
blockchain.
Mansa. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you hear? Could everyone hear you the whole time? Because you cut out for me.
I could hear the whole time.
I could hear the
Okay,
whole
I
time
apologize.
too.
Okay, it was just me. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Thank you for checking. So yeah, I think the fact that our communities have always navigated like that without blockchain, being able to leverage this tech will help us move that much faster. The only thing I would have to say that is different about being decentralized and Web3 for our communities is this is the first time we have the ability to be at the forefront of this next iteration of the internet, and we're not trying to play catch up. So, to me, decentralization, it ain't new. We've been doing that. People are just now catching up. But the difference is the powers in our court now to be able to be the leaders of this movement.
Thank you very much for answering that. Amazing answer, as well as it's amazing to hear about the beautiful work that you're doing. I see Ibrahim has your hand up. So what I would want to say is Tech by Choice, yourself, definitely Dikayo, and NFT Mansa. So far in this conversation, I would love to connect y'all with our Tech Misfits partnership, because with the movements that you're doing and the focus in terms of tech and access, that's what Tech Misfits is about. With the representation and the work that women are doing, like Kaio was saying, whether it's from web 1, 2, 3, it's so important that representation, that women founders and innovators are present. So I'd love to connect you, and with those experiential IRL and online events that NFT Mansa is describing, I would love to connect y'all with our partnership team. So right before we go to Ibrahim, I just wanted to ask y'all, are you good with that? I would love to put forward your names to see how what you're doing and what we're doing can synergize and really go further. Awesome. Dikayo, can you throw up a heart if you're down with that? I saw the others did already. All right. I'm gonna do that. Yo, moving right along. Ibrahim, Leon, how you doing?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. GM, good morning. Buenos dias. Sabah al Guten Morgen. I hope everybody's doing well. Um, I I initially came up actually because Dakayo was, I was just excited because in recent months I've been really interested and intrigued by data and in particular metadata. So just her approach and her perspective on things was really intriguing, and I just wanted to chop it up and nerd out about that. But the reason I raised my hands is because of Jade. Hi, Jade. I appreciated the way that they framed like community in relation to decentralization, and I wanted to add just like the way that I've seen it play out in terms of what it looks like. I just want to point out that they're not really mutually exclusive, although they can be painted as such sometimes. Um, my I think the best way to illustrate it for myself is that, during the pandemic, when it was very obvious that like the state would not take care of us, like we had unhoused folks in the streets, that weren't being taken care of. We had elders who weren't being taken care of and couldn't get food for themselves. And we saw very organically like when people kind of like divested away from like relying on the state. Obviously people still put pressure on these existing institutions, and I think that's important, but folks were like, okay, we're just gonna do our own thing. And then you have these decentralized mutual aid networks throughout the United States and arguably throughout the world that came out of that. And that's where you saw the formation and the building of really powerful communities and coalitions around change. So I feel like it is the decentralization where we're not like leaning on these centralized entities that were not built necessarily to serve us. It's when we like lean away from that and lean more into the decentralization, lean more into community and just each other, is that we can actually live what decentralization looks like. So I just wanted to offer that because yeah, I have many thoughts on the topic. But happy to be here. Good to see folks. Jai, I see you in the bottom. I see Glam Gorilla. I haven't donated yet to the project, but I'm definitely donating to the project, to the GR15 grant. People are doing a lot of dope work. But yeah, happy to be here, fam.
Yay, I'm happy to nerd out about data anytime. I just sent you a DM, and I'm so happy that you came here because you saw me with data, because there's so much more amazing things even going on in this space.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I'm particularly fascinated by metadata, as a storyteller. So I think we upload NFTs all the time. Metadata kind of becomes important like when people are trying to look at traits and like compare rarity and stuff like that. But we don't necessarily think of metadata as what ends up going up on chain and also being the strings or the threads, in my opinion, that can connect everything together in this decentralized ecosystem. So like in this very open world, like how are we connecting what we're doing and not like siloing ourselves in a way where we can't build together. So like we've seen really cool examples lately with like people who are in the music NFT space, and they were like, yo, why is it that I cannot just look up a song on the blockchain? All these different marketplaces have different music standards, metadata standards, to where people are not necessarily um, when they're minting, they're not identifying it for its specific genre. And so that means that like you cannot just use IPFS to like pull up all like the techno songs or alternative hip hop or whatever it is people are looking for. So I'm exploring that concept with my work because I'm looking to document song and poetry, and using metadata to tie those together, because I'm currently working on my project in Sierra Leone, but the goal is to take it worldwide and then use these strings of metadata to connect all the different pieces with each other. So many use cases. I'm still exploring it. I'm working on building a tool, but yeah, definitely down to nerd out with you in the back channels. Happy to meet you.
Awesome.
That
Yeah.
screens comment,
Likewise.
that metadata screens comment, I'm like, yo. So I don't know. Actions over words. I'm a back channels. I like how y'all say back channels. Yeah.
Well, I just think it's really important to always bring data into the conversation, because usually by the time people are ready to do data collection, it's too late. Um, to really change the catastrophic events that happened. I'm referring to COVID. There's so much data about COVID that because people are still traumatized, including me, it's not natural to process at the time things are happening. And even, right now, like I guess I don't wish. It's just the reality of the space is that we're all trying to build and we're all trying to amass the funds to be able to stay here. So it's hard to also be examining at the same time. That's the truth for anything we experience. It's really hard to data collect and examine and analyze what we're doing in the current moment because, newsflash, we're out doing it, but it is really necessary to at least acknowledge that that is a struggle with data collection and try as best as we can to think of ways that we can automate the data collection process. And that's where AI can really help because our brains might not be able to do all of it at once, but we do have the technology to be able to at least capture the most relevant data and be able to make sense of it, even at a later date if we have to.
Very good point. I would want to ask you, Dikayo, like, what does your data collection work look like? I'm curious because that's not particularly my area of specialization. So if you could speak to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. I really came into data science during my MBA. I got my master's in business administration at Tulane, and I ended up concentrating in analytics, which was a surprise, but I just really, really, really had a good statistics teacher, and I fell in love with it. And that statistics opened up the gateway for me to start studying data science. And, it was at really the pinnacle of when people still don't really know what data science is. So, kind of like with Web3, data science and Web2 is still relatively new. So what I've learned to do is I use a software called R. It's a programming language. I use RStudio. And I also know Python. I do want to at least be somewhat versed in Solidity so that working with developers, I can be a little more helpful. But basically, like, data science is not coding per se. A lot of the data science is actually the interpretation of the results you get from coding. So you learn how to code enough to process big data sets and splice them, clean them, organize them, all that fun stuff. And then you use what you found to come to conclusions about how to solve real world problems. And data visualization is a big part of data science that a lot of people know about. And that is the presentation of such findings, and there's a real science to it. Even though it's like technically building a pretty presentation, it's really difficult to actually present complicated findings in a way that will get management's approval and attention. So there's a lot going on there. Data scientists normally have to take on a bunch of different roles because oftentimes management doesn't realize that data is necessary to make decisions. And also, oftentimes management wants to argue with the findings, which you can't really argue with numbers. So that can make it a kind of frustrating endeavor. But I really love working with data. I think, just the kind of playing around with a large set of numbers to try to find an average response or a way to optimize success or a way to really highlight a problem that a certain demographic is being ignored. There's a lot you could do. And I'm still
Right.
very rooted in it right now, even though, you know, I'm a media professional. I still think it's really important for me to be constantly learning and keeping up with the actual data science practices.
Well, that's amazing because yeah, when you mentioned data visualization, I remember I had a data visualization class, and it really opened my mind to see like we're talking about understanding because people learn and understand in different ways, and it's hard for us to really do what we got to do if we don't understand. And in fact, um, the numbers, like a huge database of numbers, that's a form of presentation, but is it the best form of presentation for most human beings to digest and then to know how to deal with? And you're explaining the business in the business practice, business application. You have managers and directors, and with the right understanding of the data, you could potentially do more. We can, they can make the right decisions, and when we don't have that, again, we may not be able to make the right decisions. So I really appreciate your shedding light on your passion and what you do. It made me really think about the fact this is Black NFT art community, and really we're broadening the amount of people that have access, and that's one effect that has been one of the effects of the NFT digital asset boom, is that people can create and sell their art, make it available. People can support around the world with less barriers. And so it makes me wonder about like how the artists fit in this era of data. And I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about that, but that's what really jumps to mind with data visualization for me, where artists are really the people, I would say, especially when they gain the knowledge in terms of if it's business, if it's society, it's like, what do you want to comment on? But we have the potential to have this grasp or this ability to present in a way that people can accept that information in a range of different ways.
Well, the first thing that I'll say is like, if I see a room where people are talking about data and Black people are not in the room, I'm leaving right away. There's no reason to be there, because honestly, the reason data science has advanced so far in a short period of time is because there are a lot of Black data scientists doing a lot of work in AI to make sure that our algorithms are not going to be oppressing us. And that's actually the title of a book. I interviewed Sophia Noble, Dr. Sophia Noble. She wrote the book Algorithms of Oppression, and I got to interview her on the first or second, I don't remember now, but first or second season of my podcast. And that was a real honor, because there's really like no reason that we should have to fight this hard to even be able to share any opinions in a corporate world. But, this reworking of the structure has to change things in that way. The same people who've been in charge cannot be in charge anymore. I think they're starting to realize that. And there's a lot of panic going on. But the truth is, I don't care, like, there are a lot of Black and brown innovators in the space. And, really, algorithms can be biased too, because they're created by humans with bias. And so the people who are in charge have to take that on and make sure that we're not just, deleting a whole column of variables because we don't want to talk about race, which happens very often.
Absolutely, and I love what you said. If in this high tech space, and I definitely see you, Ibrahim. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ibrahim. I just wanted to just say the same thing that you just mentioned goes if there's not balance in terms of gender. Like, seriously, How do we expect to create technology or systems that are effective, that are just, that are not oppressive, if there's not space for everyone at the table, and especially half the population, and especially people of color? And I'd say the same thing goes with artists. You know, we can liken all these different ways of being and seeing the world. They need to be there, or else you have some boring ass oppressive nonsense that just doesn't do it. So I'm with you 100% on that. We are going to go until about 4 o'clock, but we still got a few minutes. So, Ibrahim, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to that question. I love Dakayo's answer, like when it comes to your question about the role of artists, like when it comes to data. And I think you talked specifically about like data visualization. I love this question because I come from a background of community organizing and talking to thousands of people like on street corners about really pressing issues that have a lot of numbers behind them, a lot of statistics that are really important. I just very quickly came to know that people's eyes glaze over when you speak to them in just numbers. And so for me, I think a really important role of artists is to connect people to what is behind the data, which is really just information and a story. And so I think the role of the artist is really important in transferring or translating data into the stories and information that it's providing. And there's ways to do that artistically, visually. There's ways to do that emotively. Like the way that I'm very intentional about continuously talking about threads, because it's a theme in my work. But it is about tying like weaving the story together using data and information. Like it's easy to say, you know, um, you can look at a graph and you just see numbers, but if you say these numbers represent the stories of individual people who are at risk, right? Like these particular numbers represent a song that is dying out that the elders know but the young people in that community don't know. Or if you use it as a way to immerse yourself in the story, which I'm also fascinated by the idea of using data and metadata in particular to be like, hey, like the reason that you're experiencing this piece of art, the reason that you're looking at this collection of data and information is because I sought it out. And there's this concept of, I think it was like called like yellow journalism. For many years, like journalists would like claim that you had to be super objective and unbiased in what you're reporting on, when the reality is that everybody approaches things with their own bias. And honestly, that's okay. Like we do have to operate with particular cognitive frames, like even what you just brought up around race, gender, throw throw class in there as well. Like we have to have frameworks that we use to analyze the world. But with metadata, I feel like it's one of those ways that you can use data to be like, hey, this is not just a story about this particular thing that happened, but here's a little bit about the person who told the story and how the person who's telling the story influenced the trajectory of the story itself. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited about the idea of artists paying attention to the technology, because listen, I am not a data scientist. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Really, I have a story to tell, and as I've sought out that story, I've realized that like technology can be leveraged to really bring that story to light in a unique way, in a content persistent way, in a very honest and truthful and transparent way. So yeah, I'm all for artists looking at data and the technology more broadly to see how that can benefit the stories that they're trying to tell.
Well, the thing is, you, have so many skills and you're a storyteller. So if you were to learn 2 hours worth of data science in a YouTube tutorial, I would feature your content about data science over anybody. Like I just DM'd you and was like, you need to be on my podcast, because the storytelling aspect, is so much more important to me than were you just digging in the data. There's not a story there. And that's why I can't interview a lot of the people who are deep in the data, because they're not skilled in the art of storytelling. And that's, it's way more easy to teach a storyteller who's already out looking for stories how to play with data than it is to teach somebody who's ignorant about anything. So I'm really excited that, this crowd of people is so into data.
Kyle, I do see the Jay behind the tech by choice, and I definitely want to hear from you like now. But just before, I wanted to say, I forgot to ask you. You got to tell us what the podcast is. Post in the jumbotron. Tell us. We need to know about this podcast so we can connect.
I did just post. My pinned tweet is about it. Basically, like, I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and I studied journalism. So I'm really happy that, this media company and this podcast, DataFem, is the perfect intersection of things I've studied, journalism and data. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really, really excited about new opportunities to be able to talk about, you know, women in Web3, people of color in Web3 who might have come from a tech background in Web2 and are looking to bridge those two things. So there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of people that, since I have such a large following, I do want to feature so that they get bumped up in the, influence space, kind of like what you're doing. I share the same goal because I feel like I just want to use my platform to elevate the voices of people who I think are really going to transform and continue building in the way that, this should go. And that's very, very important because every day, there's a risk that some big Web 2 mogul comes in and changes the whole process. Now, I'm drinking my venti sized oat milk latte right now. I do not think Starbucks will be one of those bad players. I'm actually pretty excited for that. But you never know when I guess the sharing of voices will no longer be up to us and it'll be up to somebody else. And this is a good moment to feature people. So I'm looking for guests. I'm also very strongly looking for sponsors, corporate or individual, who want to advertise opportunities to sponsor the podcast and be on as a mid-roll ad. And that's really important because, like, lately my sponsors have been IBM and the city of New Orleans, which is awesome. But I feel like I've in some ways maxed on Web 2. And I really want the people involved in, supporting the podcast to be people who are now Web3 companies. So that's something that I'm really working towards. And if you know anyone, that would be awesome, guest
We
or
know some people.
sponsor.
We know some people. Big up Data Fem podcast. I just want to say that. Y'all check it out. And thank you for sharing that. Data Fem podcast, right?
And brilliant 3 years ago me decided to make the title into a hashtag. Now you can find all of the episodes somewhere on Twitter if you just click it. And I'm just like, thank you, self. 3 years ago in your personal life, you made some drastically bad decisions, but professionally, you're all good.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. We'll be checking that out, and I'll be pointing some brilliant. Are you okay? You mentioned that Ibrahim, you are of interest. So it's not only women that you are featuring, correct?
No, it's really a vibe. Like, I've already talked about Mansa, about all these long-term things we could partner up on, and I feel the same way about you, and I feel the same way about Tech by Choice. And like, there are definitely there's a wide range, but I really feel like I just love giving the spotlight to Black women, specifically Black and brown women, that's where I'm at. But I also, it's been several years, and I know that to get these people's work and influence in front of other people, I have to have it like 80% and the 20 be, like people that I might not normally feature. But honestly, like male people of color who are empathetic and interested, it falls right in with Black and brown women to feature. So I definitely think like if Ibrahim would be a wonderful guest, Mansa would be, you would be, I see Psych down there, psychedelic vibes, she would be. So there's a lot of room and a lot of content out there, and it's my passion, so it's my full-time job, and I would never restrict content that could really make our space better.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we got some tech misfits that I know some of our tech misfits ambassadors and friends and founders would also connect very well with DataFem podcast. And Jade was waiting so patiently with your hand up. Please take the floor.
No, so the first question I had, you actually asked, I wanted to know about the podcast so I can share it with the TBC community. So we're all on the same vibe here, which I love. And I like the idea that we were talking about how storytellers can use technology to amplify or share their information at a higher rate. And I think it's an easier way for people to connect. And it's something over the last like 4 or 5 years that I've been working in like community centered around diversity in tech, something I've seen a lot of people who think that they're not technical excel at. Once they learn just a little bit, they feel like they can build their confidence around using technology. We see them just take off and they're able to explain things that people who go to college for computer science and take all of these very intense classes struggle with, and people come into this space without that background from non-traditional paths and excel at it because we are multifaceted beings. And so when we have those very diverse skill sets and we just use tech as a tool, we're able to make it make, how they say like make lemonade out of lemons. That's what we do. And we can turn this tech into gold, especially folks from like marginalized groups. So I think a lot of what we talked about just like solidifies like our mission here at Tech by Choice and making sure people feel empowered by tech. And yeah, this just made me excited to do more for the community and make sure I'm really showing up.
And that you are doing lovely. We are going to wrap up soon, but we do have a little bit more time, and we do have someone new on stage. We have Dylan ATM. How are you doing today?
How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I'm doing good.
Good.
What's up, Ibrahim, my boy?
What's up? How you doing, man? I miss you. Out of nowhere. It's good to see you, fam.
Man, I ain't been far.
Where are you at?
I'm back at home. I'm saving some money.
I'm on the road, not doing that. But yeah, it's good. It's good to be on the road. I literally just drove into Atlanta. I'm excited to link up with Daima folks, folks I haven't seen in a long time. I'm trying to see Hanifa whilst I'm here. But yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what's happening in Atlanta?
There's nothing happening like out of the ordinary, but Daima is regularly hosting events, so I'm gonna tap in there. I really just came here for family and just so I just take some time to work on some projects. I'm just on the road. I'm on the road. I'm trying to leave the country soon too.
Hey, yo, Daima, that's a parent company, Black NFT Art. Daima does on the fourth Friday of every month an in-person event. So if you're in Atlanta, It's not nothing much. It's like, yo, I'm up in Canada, and I'm like, yo, I got to get down to Atlanta, fourth Friday of every month. And there's also going to be a workshop series, in-person workshop series that's rolling out in Atlanta. So I would say follow umbadaima.com, and you can get connected and find out when those events are happening. The other alternative is you can follow or sign up for the newsletter, the Umbadaima newsletter, and keep up to date on that. So yeah, Atlanta.
I'm in there like skincare. Umbadaima is actually the first ever NFT event that I ever attended. Like I flew out from California in 2021, early 2021 or mid 2021. And it was actually at that event that like I met a lot of the homies. Like that's where I met Heno, Isaac Adogwu, Stones, like a lot of folks, that we've been building with over a year now. Yeah, I met him at the Umbadiva thing, so always holds a special place in my heart. Just that community.
Yo, are you talking about the Rise program? Were you at
I
that in? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that's also where I met like Sam and the folks from NFT Now. Like, yeah, way back
Hey,
when, fam. It feels like
Tayo, Tayo Damn Shoes may have been
Kyle was
there.
there,
Oh,
Shay,
I
everybody.
was listening to that on, I don't know if it was Clubhouse or Twitter back then, but I was just like, yo, Black Dave was there.
Yeah,
Word.
yes.
There. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm glad you're going to be able to be at this one coming up. Where do you live? Where are you at?
I'm usually stationed out of Sacramento, California, but I'm multi-local, so I move around a lot. And Atlanta is like second home. Like I spent some of my childhood here, and I have family out here.
We'll have to line it up one of these because I gotta be there. I gotta get there. Yo, shout out Switzerland in the place. Shout out NFT Buzz. Definitely K Lou. You've been here for a minute. Enough love. IV produce. We do the Wednesday on point talk show about news, current events, what's on point and what's not. So make sure you follow Umbadaima and then jump on that on point talk show. This week we have Hanifa. We were here with Hanifa. And we wanted to, enough love and peace, Switzerland, I see it. And yeah, so everyone, people jumped in here like, yo, Hanifa's here. Yo, Hanifa is that person, how she brings the energy, what she cares about, and she's a visionary. And so we realized that this Gitcoin discussion it needed a little bit of back end care because there are different parts. So we decided to extend